The human is just a construct of systems. Now, this is a very interesting thing to understand. We are what we habitually do. Many wise men have said this because this is true. But I want you to take this idea a whole leap further. And I want you to really sink into this idea of just how we are nothing but an amalgamation of our habits, and nothing but an amalgamation of thought patterns, of what patterns of thought we were trained to have from our indoctrinations as a child. This is incredible to really grasp, because once we really grasp this truth, or this idea, let's say, then we can really start to appreciate the difficulty of changing ourselves forever. You know, if you want to become an individual that works out every day, and you haven't worked out a day in your life, you know, that's going to be a very hard won pattern to wire into your system. But then once you have it, then you can utilize that pattern to your advantage. You can start to get your neural circuitry working for you. You can start to use your subconscious to your advantage, in such that you're not fighting with yourself anymore, and you can actually get yourself into a flow. Imagine if waking up on time, working out every day, you know, counting your macros and eating just what's right for you, and saying no to all vices was just the baseline. Just the baseline. Like, that's what you do all the time, no problem. Now imagine that's your baseline. What could you create? Who could you become with that level of foundation already established? And this is what happens when you can grant yourself the gift of installing these patterns. You know, people talk about programming and reprogramming the subconscious mind. And this is it. Because the mind is just some patterns. Even like how you think about adversity. You know, when something bad happens to you, instantly, especially the negative things, instantly, you're going to have a set of thoughts, you know, negative or positive thoughts, whatever it is, that are going to play over and over again. And the real trick of life is reprogramming your entire mind, your entire psyche, to only have positive thoughts, positive perceptions, constructive perceptions, not destructive perceptions, hardwired into you, such that with every obstacle that comes into life, because they're coming, life is nothing but preparation. You know, you always got to be preparing for the storm. If you can hardwire yourself to always be still putting in the work when the tough times hit, then you're going to soar past everybody else. You're going to level up way faster than everybody else. Think about your vices. You know, I know just 5 years ago, I still had massive programming towards partaking in so many vices, you know, everything around a screen, right? Video games, internet, you name it. And one thing that I did take very seriously was that by age 25, my brain, the prefrontal cortex, will finish developing, you know, at 25 to 30. And so whatever hardware that I install by then will be locked in so hard that that's going to make or break my entire life. So as I am now 23, these are the years, you know, the next 7 years are the years where I'm going to make or break my life. I have to never miss a day. I have to never bitch out. I have to always take the path of most resistance. I have to install that attitude whether I like it or not. And this is one of the best investments that I will make in myself, is being an individual that takes affirmative action, that being an individual that does what's hard, does what's difficult. And that's the circuitry that I'm going to create. That's the fucking program I'm gonna write. So my question right now is, what are you doing with your actions every day? Are you being proactive, or are you succumbing to your vices, succumbing to comfort? Oh, that comfort. You know, I've developed a program at this point where if I'm comfortable for too long, I'm sick of myself. Imagine if you developed a program like that, where if you are too comfortable for too long, you're like, man, I need to do something uncomfortable, because you know you're never gonna grow in those times of comfort. And I know, like, of course, people will have vacations to reset. Yeah, those are cool. But my point is 1 second. My point is that I want to develop a entire network of constructs that are just around constantly putting myself in a zone of discomfort. So that becomes my baseline program. You know, I'm signing up for an uncomfortable life. But then at the same time, I am simultaneously signing up for a life of great accomplishment. That's another thing, is that in this life, I want to do it all. And the only way to get there is by putting in that work every day, militant. Always thinking about how you're going to grow, you know, this month. What's the theme of this month? What's the theme of this week? What's the theme of this moment? Who am I going to become? What do I have to do every day? So, to close this all up, I want you to brainstorm who you want to become And then what kind of programs would you need to create to facilitate this endeavor, to facilitate programming yourself into that? Like, it's interesting because we think we have control over our lives, but we really don't. We really don't. When we're not constantly in the driver's seat, 95% of our actions are just going to be defaulting to what we've habitually done and what we already know. This is why it's so hard to change yourself. This is why no one changes. Because it takes accountability in every moment, and it takes ridiculous amounts of time. It's a whole commitment of changing yourself and changing your trajectory. And that's nuts. It's completely bonkers. But if you want to get what you want, this is what you have to sign up for. Putting all that effort in so you can get some programs working for you. Get your patterns working for you. And then once you have that all installed, it's going to be effortless. Relatively effortless. Relative to the motherfuckers that didn't install this program, didn't make that decision when they were 20 or younger, when they realized, like, shit, like, I need to get my shit together before I'm 25, 100%. Otherwise, I'm gonna just end up like everybody else. And boy, I don't want to become like anybody else. I want to become me, who I came here to be. So with that, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.